This is Racing the Tide by Craig Delancy. Grandma, Tara, we're going to get a new house today. Tara looked at her granddaughter, who sat on the edge of the front deck, dangling her feet over the water. Her toes could just touch the sea as she swung her legs back and forth. The flow of the ocean swirled around the house's support beams as the tide hurried in. The water would touch the deck soon. A good wave would curl right over into the living room. No doubt about it. The house was sinking, or the sea level was still rising. Probably both. "No, Emma," she said. "That's going to take a long time. The company is just sending out an engineer today to talk with us. We won't have to move up north. We can stay." "That's the plan." "And my room won't be wet? There was water in there yesterday. My shoes got squishy." Tara looked back through the screen door at the hallway floor, trying to assess the slope of it. The back of the house was lower than the front. "The company has big machines on barges that'll put down big pillars real deep. They'll bring our houses out on barges too. Just set them on the pillars way up high off the water." Emma peered to the northeast, squinting as if hoping to see a barge out there now, already on its way. Shimmering water stretched to the horizon, broken only by the gray spires of drowned trees. Nothing moved out there but the languid flapping of herons and the white wake of a single boat moving north. Probably a fisherman. "Grandma," Emma said very softly. She looked down at her feet. "Tommy called." Tara froze, mouth open. After a while she managed to ask, "What did he say?" "I didn't talk to him. He left a message." Tara nodded, relieved. "Can he come over?" Emma asked, her voice pleading. "Is he coming over? Let's call him. Please, Grandma." Tara sighed. "I can't call Tommy now, honey. I just can't." "Why not?" Emma asked. "Because I'm exhausted," Tara thought. "Because I'm done with him, even if he is my son and your father. Because he can't be helped. Because he never takes advice, he only takes money. Because he can't make a good choice, only a bad one." What she said was, "Because the company people are coming." She pointed. A wake parted on the horizon. Boat skipped on its edge, speeding toward them. "You stay here, honey. I gotta go over to the barge. Be good. Aunt Grace is going to check up on you soon." Tara turned and backed a rung down the deck's ladder. Her phone began to buzz on her wrist, but she ignored it as she took the long step into the bow of their boat, which had turned to point at the rising tide. Tara recognized immediately that the approaching boat was bringing them trouble. It was a cigarette boat, long and lean and ostentatiously pre-flood, with a thundering engine burning gasoline. The woman sitting by the captain looked old-school Florida, blonde with sun-dried skin and a too-tight dark suit. Tara caught the rope tossed by the captain, tied a cloved hitch over one of the barge's bollards. The woman hurried forward, heels clacking on the fiberglass bow. She leaped to the barge. "Mary Orton?" she asked, offering her hand. After they shook, she passed Tara a card that read, "Kelly Lucy, J.D." In her other hand, she held an aluminum tube of the kind people use to protect blueprints or maps. Tara frowned. "Just call me Tara. The company had promised to send an engineer." The woman nodded. Behind her, the boat went silent. The fumes of its engines drifted over them. "Mare, we have a proposal." Tara sighed. "You want a dredge." "How did you know?" Tara walked over to the southern edge of the barge. The lawyer followed, hands on the safety line. Tara said as calmly as she could manage, "No, we won't dredge. There are engineers among us. I'm an engineer. We thought very hard about this. We pooled our money. We don't have any money, let me tell you. So it wasn't easy, but we pooled our money and we had a study done. Our plan will work. We don't have to dredge." "Mary Orton, I'm convinced that you'll agree with us that our plan is better. If you could just hear me out, learn all its details. You see, you're 10 miles across water from the big bridge. The big bridge is what they were now calling the project to elevate I-95 above the water. They finished connecting all the way to what remained of Miami, extended it down a bit further south to serve the homes still above water in Kendall and Cutter. The lawyer pointed east. "No spur is going to come out here. Not for 37 houses up on stilts. Tara nodded. That's why our village has to be self-sustaining. Miss Lucy, if you're not willing to do the work as we want, we'll just hire someone else. You know, many municipalities have been disbanded by their counties for being too small, the lawyer said. She turned and leaned back against the safety line so she faced the house that stood on ramshackle supports formed of cinder blocks or heaped stones or hastily dropped concrete pillars. Somehow twice as many homes as you have here. Are you threatening us? Tara asked. No, the woman said. She did not take offense. Her tone remained matter of fact. No, but nearly 1 million homeowners in Florida will file claim to rising water disaster funds. Here you have 37 houses, 10 miles across water from anything. That's not how they want to hear the relief funds are being spent. They could force on you a buyout, spend the savings elsewhere, hoping to accomplish something. We consider this something, Tara said. This will all be Everglades in a dozen years, and we'll live in it. The woman nodded. Okay, but you can do that on an island, right? Tara pointed down at the water. You make a sandbar here, you have to dig a trench all around it to get the sand to pile up. Any island you make is going to sit in a lake. The lawyer paused, considering the course of her argument. Finally, she held up the tube. Please, just look at the plans. Tara sighed. She looked at the municipal building, which sat at the center of the barge. Inside, Pat Cosby, the town secretary, pressed against the glass door, shamelessly gawking at them both. Tara would like to send the lawyer away and call another company. Perhaps she should. But they both knew there were few contractors willing to work this far out, and she owed it to the people of her town to hear the whole pitch. Let's go in, Tara said. The phone on Tara's wrist began to buzz incessantly. If you need to take that, the lawyer said, smiling, I won't mind. I can wait for you inside. No, Tara said. It's just my son, calling to tell me he's dying again, and only I can save him. You busy? Pat asked Tara. Tara sat, staring at the wall as she listened to the calls recorded on her phone. She moved her hand back and forth over the maps that the lawyer had left spread out on the table. All but one of the messages had been left by her son. His voice seemed to warble like a bird, in broken phrases. He pled for money and promised to pay her back. There was also a single call message from a nurse at the clinic where Tommy lived now, leaving an address. Tara tapped her watch to stop the playback. I'm done, Pat, thanks. Pat pointed to the maps. It was only an hour after noon. The sun fell from the skylight and down on the table, making the maps seem to glow. Well, what do you think? Tara frowned. The last vote had been contentious. Before the vote, everyone in town had argued for weeks, arguing on front decks as the sun set over the water, argued across the bows of boats tethered together while they fished, argued in tentative but loud voices at the weekly town meetings. It had not been easy to come to a decision. Of the 55 residents of voting age, only 32 had supported her plan in the end. The others wanted to pay for a dredge, to have a sandbar built. They wanted to set their feet on dry land once in a while, and who could blame them? I think it's bad news, Tara said. This is going to start the whole debate over again. And not in their wildest dreams did they imagine that a huge dredging project to create not a sandbar out here, but an island. A big island. Too big. Only if people see these plans, Pat said. You let people in to look it all over, whoever wants to look. It's got to be done, Tara stood. Listen, Pat, I got to go to Orlando tomorrow. You think your boy Polly would be willing to sail me out to the train stop on the big bridge? I'm sure he would, Pat said. Well, you'll have to try to keep things together here while I'm away. Need someone to watch Emma? I might. I was going to ask Grace to keep Emma for the night tomorrow, but I'll tell Grace she can count on you to help out, if that's okay. Thanks. It's for Tommy, isn't it? Pat asked, her voice soft. You going to see another doctor? Some kind of expert? None of them are experts, Tara said bitterly. They're just tinkering, using up brain the way we used to burn up the oil. It took the whole morning to tack to the big bridge. She and Polly sat in the cockpit of the boys' 6-meter sailboat. The lines rang against the aluminum mast. Polly was 15, quiet to the point of brooding, but proud of his skill on the water. He watched the telltales on the sail and kept the boat moving as fast as the wind allowed. Finally, the bridge rose before them. Polly trimmed a tight beam reach that shot them under the dark shade of the two highways. A little building hung down between the lanes. A strip of sunlight fell through, seeming somehow dirtied by the sound and smell of the cars that roared overhead. Polly dropped sails and deftly turned, stalling right next to the small dock. Tara thanked the boy for the lift. They did not bother to tie up. With only a nod, Polly left his mainsail as soon as she stepped off. It snapped taut with wind, and the boat leaned away toward open waters. Tara climbed the stairs to the train stop, just a row of benches between the two train tracks, flanked by the lanes of I-95. She sat alone in the shade of a big sign showing endless advertisements. After an hour of cringing from the roar of passing trucks, she saw the train loom in the distance. She waved, afraid it might pass by if she didn't show them that someone waited. It squealed to a stop, as if pained to be forced to slow, and Tara leaped through a door that shuttered open reluctantly. She ignored the other passengers, who tried to strike up a conversation with her. The South would always remain the South, she thought, polite and conversational. But she didn't have the energy for it. She only smiled sadly and turned back to the glass to watch the tide back out into the Atlantic. Patches of ground, some black with cracked tarmac, others still holding up the cinder block wall of some box store or fast food joint, peeked up through the shallower places. That wasn't land. The land was gone. The sea had taken it. Florida had shrunk to a narrow, blunted knife of sand and trees. The train climbed up away from the sparkling water when they neared Port St. Lucie. Tiredness overcame her then, as if the green and brown hand lay heavily on her. She watched, half asleep, the train passed hotel after hotel, their parking lots fringed by pools and swing sets. 2 hours brought her to Daytona Beach. She wrestled with a chunky municipal internet to navigate incomprehensible bus schedules. Eventually, she discovered a way to string together 3 trips to get to her destination in Orlando. She bought an exchange ticket online, boarded a noisy, dirty bus, waited in a covered lot behind the station. 2 hours later, bus doors parted with a sigh. She clopped down before a brick building with Grace Clinic printed over its entrance. She did not go in immediately. An old bench stretched out beside the door, its wood slats carved all over with inscrutable graffiti. Exhausted and bone-weary, she flopped down on it. She thought the air on the bus oppressive and close, but now she discovered it was just the landlocked air, still and hot. Her body longed for the ocean breeze. She turned on her phone and told it to call home. "Emma," she shouted, feeling the need to be loud to reach across the distance. "Grandma? How are you, honey? Are you with Tommy?" "Not yet, honey, but I'm almost there. I'll see him soon." "Call me back and turn on the camera," she said. "Honey, I've been meaning to tell you. Your daddy might be asleep, okay? So we might not be able to talk on the phone. Sick people have to sleep a lot sometimes." "Wake him up," Emma said. "Shake him so he wakes." "We'll just have to see. I'll call you when I know." When she passed inside, she realized she'd come in a side door or rear door of the clinic. It was crowded and busy inside. A long hall with a scratched but shining floor stretched to big glass doors in the distance, parted again and again as people came and went. Stretchers lined the halls, with patients sleeping on them or just lying there, staring at the ceiling and gasping in the close heat. The smell was a mixture of harsh antiseptics and urine. Tara passed rooms filled with rows of beds, some of them bunks. She understood then it was not much more than a homeless shelter, a shelter for the indigent ill. At the end of the long hallway, she came to a desk where a nurse stood, impatiently swiping at an old tablet computer with a sputtering screen. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Tommy Orte." "And you are?" "I'm his mother." The nurse nodded, paged through screens, poked at the pad vindictively, and finally said, "Room 154, that way." "Thank you." It was one of the rooms she had passed. Inside, 6 beds were arranged in a space not much wider than the hall. Tommy lay in a bed against the far wall. Walking sideways, Tara worked her way to him, squeezing between the beds. Tommy lay on his back, sweating atop the covers, eyes closed, breath uneven. He wore a pale aqua gown. His naked limbs were thin, like sticks. that his knees and elbows were knobs. Fresh scars left pale lines on his shaved head. He twitched while he slept. "Tommy," she said softly. He did not open his eyes. A chart hung on the end of his bed. She lifted it and read, but nothing there meant anything to her. The room lacked any chairs. She gently lowered herself on the corner of his bed, let her weight sink down into the mattress. He did not stir, other than his frequent twitches. "Tommy," she said a little more loudly. "Tommy, Tommy." She touched him. His skin was hot. Tommy opened his eyes. He looked around in panic for a second and focused on her. The twitching grew worse. He lifted a shaking hand, dropped it back onto the bed. "Mama?" he warbled. She nodded, trying not to cry. I can hardly talk," he said. "It's okay, Tommy, that's okay. You don't have to talk." But that upset him more. His limbs shook violently now. He lifted his hand, but seemed uncertain about what to do next. I, he said. Shh, I'll talk to your doctor, okay? I'll talk to your doctor." He trembled a long time, and she sat with him till his eyes closed again, and he fell asleep. After a long time, hours maybe, someone touched her shoulder. "Mrs. Orte?" She looked up. Her eyes had been closed. Another minute she might have lain back across the foot of the bed and slept there. A man stood over her, a portly black man with sad eyes, a cleanly shaven face. He wore a white doctor's smock, and sweat had stained the underarms. "Mrs. Orte?" he repeated. "Yes," she said, whispering. "I'm Dr. Armstrong. I'm a psychiatrist here at the clinic. Would you like to come to my office?" She looked down at Tommy, but he did not stir. She got up and followed the psychiatrist without saying a word. It was a long walk down the hall and up another to his office, a little cubicle with a buzzing neon light, a single window looking out on a dirty brick wall just 2 meters away. The psychiatrist offered her coffee. She gladly accepted. You're from down south, end of the old 5. "Yes," she said. "You lost your home, your whole town. Your son told me." "Not the whole town. Some of us are still left. We're the crazy holdouts who can't leave our land, even if it is underwater. We just love the sea and the glades too much." The doctor nodded. "Tommy has fond memories of his childhood. His memory is better than some of the people I see here who took rewrite." "And what's the matter with him now? What is it you want to do?" "I don't want to do anything. I mean, I'm not in a position to do anything. Please understand. I'm a community medical doctor. We're a clinic for patients that the hospitals won't take, including a lot of psychiatric patients. Your son landed on our doorstep. I've done my best to stabilize him, but I can't help him. Only thing that I know that might help him is a course of properly tuned biogenetic machine implants." "More machines," she said bitterly. He nodded. "I know how you feel. I've seen other patients like him. He started with the drugs. I mean, lots of drugs, right? Not just rewrite." "He thought they were going to make him smarter," Tara said. "He started when he was a teenager. Mommy said, 'I want to code, and if you code, you gotta compete with every kid in China. You gotta compete against every kid in India. There are millions of them, not to mention all the white kids in California. Every one is taking the brain shacks. They're taking the enhancers. So he started on the drugs, different drugs. But he never really worked at his computer again. The drugs ruined him." The doctor nodded. "We saw a lot of patients with the side effects from rewrite and the other early mental enhancement drugs, memory loss, tardive dyskinesia, and worse." "He got the wires next," she said. He thought that would fix the damage of the drugs and also make him smarter. He spent all day reading internet posts from hundreds of programmers who claimed the wires had made them lightning-fast thinkers." The psychiatrist nodded. "But the wires caused acquired epilepsy." He'd had this conversation before, Tara realized, but she could not help but feel a small satisfaction to get it all out, to someone who understood. Doctor's sad eyes fixed on her, pleading that she continue. "So then he got the machines," she said. "Micro-robotic neural control units. I paid for it, spent my entire 401k, everything I had left." I'm very sorry, he said. Well, it didn't work. It worked, she said. Your son has had no seizures, he tells me, and I believe him. He's had no seizures here, as far as we can tell. But after a year or more, a significant number of the patients with the neural control units develop Parkinson's-like symptoms and some ataxia symptoms because the units begin to interfere with the striatum and the cerebellum. She nodded. There is no known treatment, the doctor said. There is a possibility. The clinic is experimenting with a new kind of neural control unit, smaller, faster, less harmful. They're actually mostly grown out of organic molecules. Molecules that... I was a bioengineer, she interrupted. Sorry. You never know what's clear, what's not. So these new units can be used to disassemble in place the implants he currently has. And they take over their function in a reduced and supposedly less harmful way. And if he doesn't get it, he's getting worse. His speech functions have started to fail just in the last 24 hours. Looks likely the damage will soon impede autonomic function. He'll stop breathing, you mean? The doctor nodded. How did we get here? She said, looking out his window at the bleak wall beyond. In the cramped office, the view was worse than if there had been no window. It seemed to say, there's nowhere to go, no future. Mrs. Otley, how did we get on this rat race? The doctor sighed. When I went to medical school, I imagined that I would work in a clinic like this, and I would cure people from neighborhoods like my own. Really, much of the time, it seems I just move them a little farther down their road. One drug has this side effect, so we switch to another drug, then another. Some treatments does such and such damage, so we add this other additional treatment to fix that, find yet more side effects. I wish I could make your son a boy again before you even started down this road, but I can't. No one can. Tears welled in her eyes. She came prepared to fight. This man was not one of the corporate drones that she'd met in every one of the clinics. Their humanity completely consumed by greed. Every sentence a PowerPoint bullet meant to sell the idea. Faced with human decency, her resistance failed completely. How much would it cost? She asked. I'm sorry, but because it's experimental, the state won't help. It's always experimental, she said. How much? She held her breath, and he named a huge number. She got back to Daytona Beach late that evening, ate a stale bagel from the station's dreary coffee shop, and bought a ticket on the night train. She waited hours outside, watching the moon creep overhead, till the train came out of the dark, pushing dirty air and drawing so much power, the lights all around her flickered. Again she found a seat against the window. Face pressed against the cool glass, she managed to sleep the 2 hours till sunrise. When she leaned back, her joints creaked and cracked, sore from sleeping all hunched up. Outside there was only water. She was nearly home. She logged into the train's internet, put on her net glasses, and began a search of municipal filings and SEC filings. It took her only minutes to prove her suspicions. She took the lawyer's business card out from her pocket, touched it to her phone. Rang only once before the lawyer answered. This is Kelly. Miss Lucy, this is Tara Orte. Mayor Orte, she said, her voice becoming forced with brightness. I've been doing some research. Yes? I see that you have a project 5 miles northeast of us. Yes, we have several projects underway. Just that one, as far as I can tell. But you have filings to represent several hundred households in the area south and west of us. Yes, she sounded wary now. A straight line from our location to the nearest train station at the big bridge would go right through the other islands you're making. If you organized some land swaps and then made our island big enough for hundreds of homes, you could convince the state to run a spur to the island. Silence hung on the other end of the line. You need to agree, however, she said. We get say over what is done with our land, even if we don't own all of it after you make the island. Still the silence hung. Tara pictured the lawyer calculating furiously, wondering what she could say or deny without endangering their plans. My town will have another vote, Tara said. It's inevitable. What I want from you is a bonus to my people. A bonus? She could not help keep the sound of relief from her voice. They'll still vote, understand. I can't say how that vote will go, but I want this in writing. A payment to each household if we build the island. How much would you consider equitable? Tara named a number, the same number that the doctor had quoted her for Tommy's treatment. That's a lot of money. It would be for us. Not for you. Not for your kind of people, Miss Lucy. Not at all. I need time to discuss this, to make a counter-offer. No counter-offer. That's the amount. Take it or leave it. She hung up. The barge listed as the entire town all gathered on one side. People slapped at mosquitoes and talked in voices that they tried and failed to keep hushed. But silence fell when Tara spoke up. "Excuse me," she called. "Excuse me." Everyone turned and faced her. She stood in one corner with the dark southeastern sky behind her. The smooth water reflected the first stars of evening. She looked out at the faces. These were people she knew for many years now. Their children she had watched grow, pushed to the front and stared up at her. Even they gave their attention for a minute, though she knew they'd slip away soon to go chase each other across the deck. We had our debate about what to do, and I thought it was ended. But the company has come with a new offer, so it seems we need to reconsider. You've all seen the maps. "I haven't," shouted Bess Howe from the back of the crowd. "Well," Tara shouted, "go inside and look in a minute. Patsy will show you. Now, most of you have seen the maps, the plans. They want to make an island here. A big island." "And money," Paul Cosby shouted. He was Pat's husband and Polly's father. Big man who still fished and somehow managed to find fish. "That's right, Paul. I managed to get them to promise some extra money." "A lot of money," Grace murmured from the front of the crowd. Somehow her voice carried. Others nodded and murmured in agreement. "Yes," Tara agreed. "They agreed to a lot of money. This is relatively high land here. Besides, you know the rules. Around here, if you abandon your land, it goes to the national park. And most folks have abandoned their land. So the company needs our land. They need us to support some complicated land swap deals, too, before they can build." She took a deep breath. "It's up to all of you, of course. Here's what I want to say. Mayor's prerogative. I get to talk first. I'm going to suggest we vote no." She let that hang in the air. "But the money," someone called. "You forced them." "Yes, I'd like the money too, you know. But well, all I can do is repeat what I said before, when we voted before." She turned slightly to face southwest. The sky was mostly dark. The sun a flattened red orb near the horizon. She gestured over the water. "We got ourselves, everyone, all of us, the whole world, we got ourselves in this mess by rushing ahead with things that we knew couldn't last. At any time we could have stopped, found a better way to live, slower maybe, less easy, okay, but better. We could have saved Florida and Bangladesh, all the other places that are sunk now. Well, in that sense, nothing has changed. We can choose to live better now, just keep trying to fix things after they get worse. The Everglades are coming back here. The mangroves are coming south. We could live in this place in a way that won't make things worse. The new prefab elevated houses are strong, with solar roofs, walls tough enough to take a wave right up against them, with their own desalination plants. They'll work. It wouldn't be an easy life, but it would be a life that could last. Or we could live here in a way that's easier now for a while, but that will require a bigger fix later down the road. Because how long is any island going to last? A decade? 5 years? They'll be back dredging every year, trying to restore the sand that the winter tides take away. I say let's stick with our plan. Let's say no to this company, and find another company and do it right." She dropped her hands so that they slapped against her thighs, a clear sign she was finished. People started talking all at once, first in a murmur, but the conversation soon rose to a roar. Tara did not stop them. She did not demand that they have a formal debate. There were only 55 of them. They could talk amongst themselves for an hour, even 2, before she called order. She stepped back and let them talk. The voting started at midnight. Pat passed around squares of scrap paper she'd cut up for ballot slips. She told everyone, "Write yes if you want to build the island and take the money. Write no if we want to stick with our original plan, get new houses up on pillars brought out here." "Which one is no?" someone shouted. Pat moved into the crowd, passing out ballots, repeating herself. It took only a few minutes for people to vote, Then 20 minutes for Pat to count and Grace to double-check her addition. Two of them huddled under a little LED lamp at a picnic table set out on the deck. 27 yes, Pat said quietly. What? Someone shouted. 27 yeses, she called, and 27 noes. They lit torches, and the moon was up and nearly full. Tara could see all the eyes turned toward her. It's up to you, Tara, Grace said. Mara has to make the tie-breaking vote. Tara held her breath. The phone on her wrist began to buzz, buzz, buzz. Tara and Emma got back home very late. Emma lay asleep in the back of the boat. After Tara tied to the house, she lifted Emma up to the deck, where the girl stood wobbling and half-conscious. The tide had only just started to retreat, so it was still high. Tara took a single step up to the deck. She lifted Emma into her arms. She walked to the back of the house, not turning on any lights, but feeling her way. When she stepped into Emma's bedroom, her feet splashed on the floor. There was an inch of seawater in the room. She cursed and carried Emma to her own room. She laid the girl on her bed, pulled off her shoes, climbed in next to her. Emma snuggled up against her. A wave of relief rushed through Tara. Emma had been so angry with her when she'd come home. Grace had told Tara how the girl had waited, phone in hand, all the previous day. But Tara had never called to put Tommy on the line. How could I, Tara thought. How could I show her that? Her father shriveled up, legs as thin as an egret's, arms shaking, barely able to talk. So Tara had told Emma that it was not good to wake sick people when they were asleep. Somehow Emma had known she was lying. Now all seemed forgiven. Will we get our house tomorrow? Emma whispered. No, not tomorrow, honey, Tara said. They're going to come very soon, though, with huge barges and big machines. They're going to make an island, a big island, put our house on that. You can run like other kids on the sand. Will we still have a boat? Yes, Tara whispered. We'll have a boat parked by the beach. You can take it out whenever you want. Will Tommy come? Will my daddy live with us? Tara hesitated a long while, staring into the dark. Finally she said, I don't know, honey. He's got to go to a special doctor for a while. Then, well, we'll see. Why doesn't he live with us, Grandma? Your father, he had an illness. They fixed that a little. Then another illness came from that. And then another. Just runs ahead, just races a few steps ahead of the last disease. That takes all his time. Like how some people with a house by the water, they just keep moving their house back, and then back again, while the water keeps coming closer and closer. You see, your father, he's racing the tide. Emma's soft breath told Tara that the girl had fallen asleep. Tara felt the exhaustion of her trip sink down in her. She could sleep for days, for a week. Of course, she had to make calls to doctors, get second opinions, then call that psychiatrist. She had to do 100 other things, but tomorrow, after she slept. But sleep did not come. As the soft light of dawn seeped into the room, she lay with her eyes open, listening. Somewhere a fish splashed. An engine puttered alive and then disappeared in the distance. Paul Cosby heading southwest to his fishing grounds. Atop a nearby house, two gulls began to screech to each other. Other gulls took up the chorus. Through it all, water gurgled around the support beams beneath her house as the seas pulled away from their little village. The tide was retreating. For a little while.